Good afternoon. It is now 3 o'clock, and as scheduled, we are here because you are there. My name is Lydia Chapman. I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Miss Denisha Jackson. The rest of the team, the other half of the team, is on the road, but we are nonetheless moving forward with what? BAE Basics. Now, all of you all know that there's this term floating around to refer to people with whom we may have romantic relationships as bae. Hmm. And because of that, we want to equip you here at Selma AIR. We want to equip you with some basic tools to help you make better decisions about our bays. Now, yesterday we started off with an amazing conversation. We talked about some things, including dating, right? We got some tips from Latangela about how to actually date. And Denisha, you and I were talking earlier about the fact that so many folks don't necessarily date anymore. You know, we jump straight into sexual relationships, which can be dangerous for a number of reasons, including the transmission of HIV, which is why we're doing this series of shows this week, focusing on HIV prevention, making sure y'all we got to make better decisions when it comes to our relationships. Selma Air is in business to make sure that our community protects itself, that we plan ahead, that we protect ourselves, and we are able to live well. So we want to thank each of you all for tuning in. And so, Denisha, one of our comments that we got yesterday was related to dating and dating up, right? And so the question was around whether when we date, if we're dating up, is that just financially? So when you think about somebody dating up, does that always, is that tied to finances always?
I wouldn't think so. Because if you are going into a relationship based off of finances, you're going in for the wrong reason. Um, you should, as we stated yesterday, you should get to know a person for who they are and try to figure out where they want to go within the relationship and within their lives. So, not necessarily financially. Dating up for some people, I would think that means no, like we said, know your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Don't settle. Don't accept least from a person. Um, young women, uh, just because he flashed $100, $40, or whatever in your face, pay your power bill. You know that don't mean necessarily that he wants you. It's
Right.
something, you got to know your worth, know what it is. So dating up means, set your standards and make them reach for your standards. We all have our weakness in life. We all go through our ups and downs in relationships. But again, within growth, you'll know for sure what it is that you want and make them reach for whatever you want.
So now one thing you just said was related, like when you're saying dating up, it's not always tied to finances. And when we think about dating up and the character traits, because dating up can mean just having, like you said, a standard or raising the bar, if you will, of what you will and won't accept, right? Because now there are folks who are okay with open relationships and whatever open means for them, right? It may mean that they are open sexually. It may mean that they are open and it's okay for you to have emotional attachments to other people, romantic emotional attachments to other people. But like, how can that complicate things? Like when you think about the long term results of a relationship, like how can that complicate things when it comes to personal growth and and even being able to date successfully? Like, what are we looking for here?
Whew,
That went heavy, was it? Look.
it was, it really was. But so yeah, to be honest, because I am dealing with, that that in my life. First and foremost, you have to know yourself and what it is that you want to do in life. Now, open relationships and whatever works for you,
Yeah.
you know, I just don't know how that will look like. Because when you think of sharing someone feelings, emotions, attachment,
Hmm.
when one lacking, the conflict surrounded by all of that. So I don't know how that look like, what that would look like to be honest.
Well, now I do think though that we have to consider a couple of things, right? When we are talking about open relationships and the dangers when it comes to the transmission of things like HIV and other
Yeah.
STIs, right? Because let me be clear, the numbers according to the Alabama Department of Public Health, which calculates all of the numbers of new diagnoses, whether it's HIV, syphilis, trichomonas, all of those STIs, those numbers have gone up in the last year and a half, 2 years, since
Right.
COVID. And while we supposed to be inside, right? A lot of us might have been Netflix and chilling, and it's pushing numbers up. So being in an open relationship, especially if it's sexual, going from house to house
Yeah, I
can get
mean,
kind of
just think,
complicated.
yeah, like the bacterial, you know, all of
Yeah,
that. You have to look at all of that. Um,
and the impact on kids.
Now that's true. That's the main factor. Like, where, how do you, how do a child identify themselves within a normal, what is normal when
Right.
you in a relationship like that, um are you telling them that they don't have to grow up to, some kind of standards, normal, what we societies say normal standards? So you have to determine all of that when you're in open relationships. But absolutely, the main thing that you have to be mindful of is the dangers of contracting HIV, AIDS, the SCIs, and you know the emotional attachments.
Yeah.
You have to be mindful of those things. It can be very dangerous because whereas one might want some attachment, some alone time, and you know,
Wait a minute, you sound like
and
you about to
they
get
can't,
law enforcement involved.
and they won't be able to show up.
Yeah.
Valentine coming up,
Mm-mm.
so yeah,
We're not having to make appointments like.
yeah. So I'm gonna be celebrating Valentine next week
Yeah.
on the regular date, and some we're gonna be celebrating like next month.
And you know what? We're laughing, but that actually is so true. So when we talk about like not for basic bays, because I know it that tagline has been a little popular. You know, folks have said like, "Oh, where you get that from?" Like nobody wants to be basic, right?
No.
And so when we're considering the standards, right? Because anything we do, we need standards.
Yes.
We set standards for our children, hopefully in our households. Their teachers set standards for them in the classroom. So in our relationships, boundaries, standards, basically the same thing. So, what approaches have you heard of or experienced, or you think that we may need to, especially as Black women? Because that's who's talking today, fellas, is Black women. Okay. What approaches to setting a standard? How do we do that? Like, is this just about conversation and then, eventually they fall away? Like, what approaches to setting standards or boundaries have you heard of that work?
Um, I think in our younger years, in our
Mm-hmm.
teens, 20s, or whatever, um, it was said that, hey, have all the fun that you can right now, because when you get older, you won't be able to.
Yeah.
But I think that one every decade of your life, you are going to have a shift in the mindset of what it is that you want in life. You know, what you done in your early teens or younger years, you um, wouldn't want to pursue in your older years, and maybe like some
Mm-hmm.
um, might not have experienced things in their younger ages. Now they want to pursue those things. But I think for us as women within the age gap of in our 30s plus, we're looking to settle. We're looking for financial stability, careers, family, foundation, generational wealth. I would hope we're
Yes.
focusing on generational
Right.
wealth. And just a whole well-being of them, holistic approach to life, focus. So when you're dating or um, in a relationship, some may last over the years, some have that success, but some
Mhm.
are just trying to identify what it is that I want, what it is.
Mm.
And there the conversation is within yourself, know yourself and know, um, hey, you know, and we joke about this all the time because I am a checklist person.
Yes.
So does my checklist stand? You know, does he stand against everything that I have on my checklist now? Now, in my past, maybe it could have been 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
My mindset probably, I wasn't focused on things like that. So, yeah, just seek wise counsel. All I can tell you, seek wise counsel from those who are um, really focused and living the life living the life,
Right. Not
not
just talking
just
about it.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Living the life, living the example of a happy, successful marriage. Not just financially, but
Yeah.
I'm talking spiritually
Yep.
as well. You know, so
So now something you just said, you talked about that checklist, right? And so having a standard can look a whole lot like a checklist. All of us interpret things differently. So some folks may say, okay, you're setting the bar. Other folks may say, okay, okay, he has a job, check. Okay, he pays his own bills, check. Lives in his own house with no kids, check, right? So you got these little check marks that you're checking off. But the other thing that I want us to question, and I heard this actually in a sermon years ago, and the pastor said, "But can you stand up to your checklist?"
now that was my what I that is what I was getting ready to say
Yeah.
behind it. Like, you have to measure up to what you want out of someone. You might not meet everything, but together you can accomplish that.
Yeah.
Alone, you might not can, meet those requirements, but together, um, through compromise, communication, just
Putting in effort.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
because it takes work. You know,
yeah.
anybody that says that, and I've never been married, but the people that I know and that I would look to as a guide, when I do get married, the husband and wives, all of them say that marriage takes work. This is not anything that you enter into lightly, and dating is important. How interesting that the marriages though, and I just thought about that in this moment because we were talking about that earlier,
Mhm.
but the people that I would look to as advisors in marriage, every last one of them encourage dating, and which is really interesting. So like when I consider though dating, and we talked about this, what is there a double standard when it comes to this thing called dating? Are women really free to date?
No,
And are dates
mm,
perceived as sexual relationships?
no, I don't think so because if a woman is seen out with multiple guys,
Mm-hmm.
she's quote unquote,
Label. Yep.
yeah, labeled. But yeah, it's double standards to that. And I had someone to tell me growing up because yeah, I am guilty of staying within relationships for years after years after years, broken,
Mm-hmm.
um, knowing it wasn't working, but comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
uh, scared to move forward. But it's double standards. And they told me that you should date in order to know what it is that you want out of a man. That don't mean have sex with them,
Right.
but you should date. And I think that
Well,
us,
do we know how to date anymore though?
no,
Look, I'm
no.
like,
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
listen,
about
I mean,
maybe mass majority probably does, but I
I don't know though. And I really, because when I think about the impact that like social media has, and
Mhm.
like people, it's like you living for the gram, right? People are posting selfies and these pictures of these relationships. But then when you start to get to know folks, it's like, child, that might as well have been a picture, one of them pictures you get in the frame at Walmart.
I don't know. Because like I'm guilty. I
And
never.
me too. And I have to be honest about that. Like dating has not been like actually dating, right?
Yeah.
I have traditionally, I'm like a serial monogamous person. Like I
Mhm.
like monogamy, right?
Mhm.
And but the issue that I have is that there is an art to dating, and I love the fact that Latangela hit on that yesterday and some of the things that she said, because I'm like, oh, that is so true. Being very specific and letting your partner know, to say that, hey, um, I want to do this. Not
Yeah.
I like to, but let's go do this. This is a show that's coming up, or this is an experience I want to have. I want to go skydiving. Like I literally don't. So put a pause on that. I don't want to go skydiving, but if you say, babe, I want to go skydiving, is your partner somebody who will take you on a date to go skydiving, right? So do we really know how to date in the midst of this social media swipe left, swipe right environment?
Well, that's again, I can't speak for everyone. I know I don't know how to date.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not gonna say I don't know how to date. I never put myself out there to date.
yeah,
Let me see that. But yeah, this social media have everyone thinking that they have to live up to standards of that is false narratives of people's lives. Um, it's hard now. It's hard.
yeah,
And then a lot of people that you're watching are not happy in real life, so you don't know. That's why I say you have to be mindful. You have to be have a discerning spirit about what it is for
Mhm.
real. And that's why you should seek wise counsel uh, when you're really trying to move forward in a relationship, because it's not perfect, but I think with some some sound mind individuals you can
Yes.
date. And but here's another thing: the the dating apps, like, is it
Listen,
okay? What's your thoughts about the dating apps, like Christian.com? Like,
I literally have had conversations about them, and I know people who have used them, but I have never like thought like
is it safe? Is it safe to date? That's the question.
literally. I know a couple right now that I think they are like the best thing since sliced bread that met online, right? For real, and they got married, and they're a beautiful couple. They have so much in common. I mean, they are beautiful together.
Well, let
But
me
I'm
go
just so
sign up.
afraid of that.
I'm
You
gonna
know,
sign up.
listen, look, but I'm just so afraid of that because you never know who you're actually getting on the other end. Because like you know,
Absolutely.
Latangela, I keep referring to her, but she dropped some gems yesterday. So if you missed BAE Basics on yesterday, go back and catch the episode from yesterday and make sure you're here tomorrow. Um, but when I think about, you know, how we are connecting to folks and how we're able to assess them, and one thing that she mentioned was people's representatives showing up, right?
Hmm.
And we all know when we first meet people, 9 times out of 10 you're meeting their representative, right?
Hmm.
And it takes a minute before you get to the person that is really like the person that if you got married, this is the person long term. And people change. Now, let's say that people do change every 5 to 10 years. Most people, there's an evolution of whether it's education, experience, or whatever. So people change. But are the deal breakers like the once people start to expose who they are, you can identify, right, what the deal breakers are.
Hmm.
But the representative, when we think about the representative, it's so easy online to put forward a representative, right? Like, I mean, you could snatch a picture off the internet, right?
A con artist.
Yes, come on, catfish. Look,
Yeah.
I don't even eat catfish when it come to meals, so I sure ain't about to be catfished in by some man. You know what I'm saying? Some person on the other side of the world saying, "Oh, I live in Georgia. Like, come see me." No. But now, if you, and I do want to say this because we are not trying to come off as being judgmental or anything like that. I promise you, because if you can find love however you find it, we want you to be safe, right? So, one of the things that we want to definitely let you know that is that if you and your bae need to get tested, you can stop by the Black Belt Wellness Center. Selma AIR has an amazing Black Belt Wellness Center that offers free HIV testing every single day of the week. We launched this series on yesterday. We will continue through at least Thursday, if not Friday, talking about BAE Basics because the basic things that you can do include getting tested for HIV, right? Because honey,
Absolutely.
if you met this rascal online, maybe the picture lines up, maybe the job in real life lines up. But what happens if that person has an STI? What happens if that person has HIV and maybe they don't even know it,
Yeah. Know
right?
your status. Know your
Exactly.
status. So maybe tomorrow we'll talk
Mhm.
about the double standards of just women being able to have a sexual relationship with someone like guys do and not commit to a
Ooh,
relationship.
ooh, now you're talking hot topic. Look.
What does that look like?
Okay. You know what? Not just that, but what does it look like, or is there a double standard when women want to have it all?
Ooh, ooh.
Right? When you want to have household and family and career. Like,
Hmm.
can we truly have it all? Are we compromising in some sort of way? Hmm.
You have to have another Obama because the intimidation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
That
I
was an
don't know.
inside. That was an inside joke.
Yeah, but I don't know but one Obama, and Michelle has him.
Yeah.
Y'all, we had a conversation earlier. So the ideal mate, right, for a lot of us, again, with these check boxes, right? These things that are going to have to be checked off. He got to have this, he has to have that, this bar that we've set. Okay, that's great. But what happens when he checks all those boxes, but there may be some character flaws that we've observed? What happens when there are some things like, say, how he or your whoever your partner is, how they manage money?
Mm.
Because one of the major reasons why divorces occur is actually money. That's according to statistical data, right? That points to the fact that people often fight about money in their families, in marriages. So, are those things that are those really things that can stop the progress or can turn a relationship into a just sexual relationship? And
Yeah.
what about, do we still have friends with benefits? Like, where did that come from?
Hmm.
Right? So we have a lot more to talk about as we oh wow, I am going to post this as we proceed to give you what you need when it comes to BAE Basics. We had a comment come in, and we were talking about dating earlier, and she says, I think people still date, plan date nights, and give your partner the task to do as well. I think that's an amazing suggestion, because when somebody has to put effort into what it is,
Yeah.
there have been these pictures online, of like, what would you do scenarios when, if
Yeah.
your man showed, decorated the backyard and y'all were eating Popeyes. Like, that's a beautiful thing. Y'all about to watch a movie and eat chicken. Like, I mean, it's Popeyes. Cause think about the time it took for him to put that whole scene together and things like that. The meal didn't have to cost a whole bunch, but he's showing you love. So, and time is one thing that we can never get back. We can always get that money back, but time, we can't ever get that back.
I want to touch back on something you said about the checklist and
Mm-hmm.
those boxes that are not checked because they can't uh, live up to those standards or have those characteristic traits. So,
Yeah.
therefore, your significant other, that's the conversation needs to be had of dating up. Or
Mm-hmm.
so let's think about that. Are you going to date someone that, okay, I have this all intact, but I can't do this. I can't manage this, my finances right. I can't cook. I can't wash, something.
Mm-hmm.
Is she willing to do that for me? Or are we willing to
Mm.
go somewhere and learn how to, get training or, go somewhere where we can learn this together?
Yeah.
You have to think about things like that. Now, before, in my past, I wouldn't have thought of that. I know what I know. I know what I can do,
Right.
but but I understand now
Mm-hmm.
that you have to have some compromises, and you don't know it all, but you don't want to hurt a man pride.
Ooh.
But at the same
Man, I
time, you
hate
don't
that
die.
we just got to this and it's about time for us to get out of here.
You don't want
Oh,
to hurt their pride, but at
goodness.
the same time, you don't want to dummy yourself down.
Yeah.
You know, so that's
So
the
now that actually is another topic I think we probably need to wrap back around to when it comes to relationships
yeah.
and hurting, and even not just not allowing a man to be a man in a
Mm,
relationship. Are we looking for something um to stop, or are we creating environments to stop that, to hinder, even with raising our sons, right? Are we
Hmm.
stopping them from growing up to be protective, providing, um, character, like with strong character, the men that we would want, right? A woman to marry. So, y'all, I hate the time is up today, but we definitely look forward to seeing you tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m., right here for just 30 minutes. We just want a little bit of your time tomorrow afternoon as we talk about BAE Basics. We did have one more comment. She said, I think women also need to realize what their up is. Some are looking for things they cannot bring to the table. Hello. If you can't check off your own boxes, if you can't get to the bar you set for somebody else, sis, sit down. Look,
Just go and go to bed.
okay. Listen, it has been great having this great conversation. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow afternoon for BAE Basics, all this week in honor of National Black HIV Awareness Day, brought to you by Selma AIR. See you tomorrow.